Our old Chesapeake Bay marina was battered by strong westerly winds every winter. I had doubled the windward lines, but apparently had not shortened them sufficiently. Blown away repeatedly, smashed into this deck post, eventually snapping it off. Most of the damage was superficial, but there was one deep gouge. Has that exposed the gel coat? I wondered. At that time, I imagined that gel coat was some delicate layer between the wood core and outer layers of the boat, whatever those were. As it turned out, gel coat is the outer layer of the boat. There is no paint over the top of it. It is the color. Gel coat is not fragile. It is rock-hard epoxy or polyester resin. The most important lesson I learned through this process was weather matters. Ideally, you will work in the shade when the temperature is between 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit with relative humidity less than 70%. Most of my problems stem from working in the Florida sun in the upper 90s with 80 to 90% humidity. I would have been better off waiting until winter for this project. It's just too deep to sand down. It needs material, I think, to fill it. So I'm going to start prepping this. I'm going to just try a small area here first. I start by picking away non-adherent gel coat. After that, a soap and water wash, and then a wet scrub with a melamine foam pad. These magic erasers are similar to 3000 grit sandpaper and get the surface oxidation off. I tape off before sanding the defect with 120 grit sandpaper. After a wipe with acetone, we're ready for gel coat. Color matching is something I'm still struggling with. I would prefer to have ordered color matched gel coat from Spectrum, but there is no entry for tartan. I got a RAL K7 fan deck in the hope of identifying my hull color, but nothing matched perfectly. The bottom paint store has a rudimentary guide for making custom colors. I focused on beige and set to work with brown, yellow, and black pigments. If I could do this all over again, I would throw the black away and just use brown and yellow. I used toothpicks to transfer small amounts of pigment to tongue depressors. Late in the game, I figured out that I want to make 50 to 100 milliliters of color-matched gel coat in these sealable plastic containers, even for small repairs. This lets me tweak the color match easily and provides ample gel coat for many repairs. I created these color grids near the site of the repairs. You can see how we went from very, very white and got more to a gray. This is finally reaching a cream. Definitely not too dark yet, but I guess it needs more yellow. I used a syringe to transfer 10 milliliters of color-matched gel coat to a styrene plate. 4 drops of the gel coat hardener methyl ethyl ketone peroxide, or MEKP, are added and then thoroughly mixed in. Like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. The catalyzed gel coat remains workable for about 20 minutes, long enough for 2 layers. Boat builders spray very thin layers of gel coat, about 0.5 millimeter per layer, with 10 to 20 minutes of drying time between layers. Early in my experience, I used an artist brush to slowly build up multiple layers. I confess that sometimes, later on, I slathered it on pretty thick. Gel coat that is exposed to air will never cure completely. That's why gel coat with wax is sometimes used as the final layer. The wax creates a barrier between the air and the gel coat. If you want the full thickness of your repair to be uniformly color matched, you'll use gel coat without wax for all the layers and then apply a few thin layers of polyvinyl alcohol to create an airtight membrane over the repair. Fun fact, polyvinyl alcohol is used to create the water-soluble membrane around your detergent pods. This is not the way to apply PVA on your boat. The pros: spray it on. You can get a spray bottle to work if you put the nozzle in a cup of water between layers to prevent clogging. But you'll never get a fine mist. The stuff is just too thick. In my opinion, the best way to apply PVA is with a foam brush. I usually apply 2 to 4 thin layers with complete drying between layers. That might take up to 45 minutes, depending on conditions. Still working with the 800 here, and I'm pleasantly surprised to see that as I get the excess off, only the little cracks are filled. And they're filled and flush. And even though the color matching isn't good, I think this is a reasonable way to do the rash stuff here. I'll be braver to do a larger area next time. Get a little more practice with the color matching. Man, if my color matching had been better, this would have been fantastic. Well, at least now I've got an idea how I'm going to fix these things. So I've thought about, why did my grid color matching come out looking pretty good, but then the final repair was so gray? And I think it was because it was a 99-degree day. It took a really long time to get the color right, and there was a lot of evaporation of solvent from the gel coat. And I think the black pigment in there just became more concentrated and overwhelmed the yellows. So my new solution is I'm going to use these plastic jars and make a lot of gel coat. Going to work at getting 60-70 cc's of this exactly the right color, and then store it between repairs, and then work across all of these things. So that's the new plan. So I'm sanding out this little spot in preparation to hopefully get another couple layers of the right color gel coat. There's the result of the color matching. It's not perfect, but at this point I'm really not sure what to do next. So that's the start. Gradually I added brown, and then I added yellow to lighten up the brown, and then it was just a little too yellow and maybe a little too dark, so I added white back and then did a little touch up with yellow and brown. But honestly, is it a little bit yellow? Maybe. Just don't want it to come out gray. So I think I'm going to stop with that and I do a small section, and then I can adjust it on the next round. Okay, starting with 600 down to the 800, you can see the old gray kind of getting uncovered. Oh, here's 1000 grit. So 2000. Okay, here's the final on the big ding. All those superficial scratches are completely gone. So another 4 today in July. Afternoon, heat index is only 100, which makes this one of the coolest days we've had in a few weeks. So no rain in the forecast. I'm going to dig in and do some of these gel coat repairs. I'm going to start with easy ones. I'm saving this guy over here after I've done a few, the ones on the non-skid. But I've got things like that and these. So I'm not exactly sure the best way to prep this. I have my Dremel tool, but I'm really afraid of removing too much material. Okay, I'm taping this the way I've seen other people do it. First layer's off a few millimeters, and then I'm going to go in closer on the second layer. That little brush big enough for this? I guess it is. Yeah, it's fine. Don't need any more than that. How much time should I leave between layers? They say 15 to 20 minutes between layers. This is thickening up. Is it too thick to use? Hope not. I'm going to go ahead and use it. So here's the big one. And I did brush on the first 6 layers, but man, it didn't feel like it was closing up much at all. So I confess, for layers 7 and 8, I used a tongue depressor and I kind of slathered it on. So, yep, assessing color and whether I need to put some more gel coat down or if it's ready to sand. And honestly, I think it's ready to sand as soon as it is cured. So we had torrential rains yesterday afternoon. It washed off all the PVA. Not tacky, seems to be cured. This is 220. It's clear that there's just not enough yellow in my color matching, so I'm gonna do a little more work on a final layer here. I would say only 1 out of 4 of my repairs achieved an excellent color match. Part of this is because of weather, and part is because of my own poor perception of color nuances. When I shared my color matching difficulties with the tartan owners group, they responded with this. "Do you see a number?" they asked.